July 2024. San Diego Comic-Con. A line of masked figures in green cloaks walks onto the Marvel stage, and one of them takes off his mask. It's Robert Downey Jr. The man who built the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Iron Man is coming back as the villain sent to end it. Avengers Doomsday arrives December 18, 2026, and it's built around one character, Victor Von Doom. Here's what the movies haven't told you yet. In the comics, the Avengers don't have a winning record against this man. He has beaten the entire Marvel Universe. More than once. Doom is older than almost everyone he fights. He first appeared in Fantastic Four issue 5, cover dated July 1962, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby before Spider-Man existed, before the Avengers, before the X-Men. And look at what he does in that first story. He doesn't rob a bank. He doesn't take hostages. He builds a working time machine and sends the Fantastic Four back centuries to fetch Blackbeard's treasure. Issue 5 of the entire Marvel Universe, and this character has already casually solved time travel. That's the bar he sets on day one. Everything about Doom starts with the mind. He's the one person Reed Richards, the smartest man, generous to read. He builds armies of Doombots so convincing that writers have used them for decades to walk back any defeat. You didn't beat Doom, you beat a copy. He rules his own country, Latveria, which gives him diplomatic immunity the Avengers have run into again and again. You can't even arrest him. He's a head of state. But the science is only half of him, and this is what separates Doom from every tech villain Marvel has. He's also a master sorcerer. In the 1989 graphic novel Triumph and Torment, by Roger Stern and Mike Mignola, we learn Doom's mother sold her soul to the demon Mephisto and for her. He eventually recruits Doctor Strange, Marvel's Sorcerer Supreme, and wins. Tony Stark fights with money and engineering. Doom fights with engineering, sorcery, and a literal annual war against hell. So let's start counting the times he actually won. Fantastic Four issue 57, December 1966. Doom invites the Silver Surfer, the Herald of Galactus, carrying the power cosmic, to his castle as a guest. While the Surfer talks, Doom quietly drains the power cosmic out of him with inductors built into his own armor. Then he takes the board. The 2007 movie borrowed this exact story, but the comic goes further. Doom believed that with the Surfer's power he could challenge Galactus himself, the being that eats planets. That was 1966. He was just warming up. 19 years later he did something no Marvel villain had ever done. In Secret Wars issue 10, from 1985, a being called the Beyonder, powerful enough to build a planet out of stolen cities just to watch heroes fight on it, made the mistake of studying Doom up close. Doom had already rebuilt the villain Claw into a machine for siphoning the power of Galactus. He turned that same trick on the Beyonder and drained him completely. A man in a metal suit stole the power of the most powerful being in the Marvel Universe. And then it got dark. With the Beyonder's power, Doom faced the assembled heroes of Earth, the Avengers, the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and killed them. Not in a battle. With a thought. Captain America, dead. The Hulk, dead. Every hero on that planet, erased in a moment because Doom willed it. The story walks it back, the heroes return, the power is lost. But the precedent stood, and Marvel has never forgotten it. When Doom finally got his hands on real power, the combined might of every hero alive lasted exactly one thought. Remember that when you watch Doomsday. Now the strangest win of all, because this one didn't need a single punch. In the 1987 graphic novel Emperor Doom, Doom captures the Purple Man, the mind controller you know from Jessica Jones, and wires him into a machine that broadcasts his will across the entire planet. The whole world simply agrees that Doom should be in charge. No invasion. No body count. The Avengers wake up in a world that surrendered without knowing it was at war. It's the most efficient planetary conquest in comics history, and it cost Doom nothing. And here's the part that should genuinely bother you. Doom's world worked. Under Emperor Doom, wars ended. The planet ran on order instead of chaos. The handful of free heroes who fought back weren't saving the world from destruction, they were restoring a messier, bloodier world because freedom mattered more than peace. That's the question Doom forces every single time. He doesn't want to destroy anything. He wants to run it. And the uncomfortable math says he might run it better. No other Marvel villain makes the heroes argue about whether stopping him was right. 2010. The series Doom War, 6 issues, written by Jonathan Mayberry. Doom invades Wakanda, the most technologically advanced nation on Earth, to take its vibranium. Why? Because vibranium doesn't just absorb impact. In the comics it can amplify mystical energy without limit, and Doom is the one man alive with the sorcery to exploit that. He gets the vault open. And the only way Black Panther can stop him is the nuclear option. T'Challa triggers a device that renders every gram of vibranium on Earth inert. He destroys his own country's greatest resource, because letting Doom keep it was worse. Then in 2015, Doom stopped beating heroes and beat reality itself. In Jonathan Hickman's Secret Wars, the entire Marvel multiverse is dying, universes smashing into each other and winking out. The Avengers fail to stop it. Reed Richards fails to stop it. Doom doesn't try to stop it. He goes over its head, kills the Beyonders, the race of beings responsible, and absorbs their power. When the multiverse finally dies, Doom catches the pieces. He stitches the corpses of dead universes into a single patchwork planet called Battleworld. And he rules it. As God. For 8 years, God Emperor Doom was the only reason existence existed. He rewrote history so completely that almost nobody remembered the old multiverse. Thor served as his police force. The Hulk herd guarded his walls. And when the survivors of the old world finally came for him, Doom wasn't beaten by an army, he was undone by one sentence. Facing Reed Richards, the god of everything admitted the thing he'd never said out loud, that Reed would have done better. The Molecule Man heard it, transferred the power, and the universe was reborn in Reed's hands. Doom's only unbeatable enemy is his own ego. So why cast Robert Downey Jr.? It's not a gimmick, it's a comics deep cut. In 2016, Marvel published Infamous Iron Man by Brian Michael Bendis, a series with one premise: Tony Stark is gone, and Victor Von Doom decides to replace him. Doom literally becomes Iron Man. The two characters have been mirrors for 60 years, billionaire geniuses in powered armor, separated by one variable. Tony crawled out of his worst moment, and Victor built a fortress on top of his. Casting the same actor isn't stunt casting. It's the whole point of the character. The MCU has already started his story. The Fantastic Four First Steps made over $521 million worldwide, the only Marvel movie of 2025 to cross $500 million. And its mid-credits scene is 4 years after the film. Sue Storm finds her son Franklin with a figure in a green cloak kneeling in front of him, mask in hand. Franklin reaches the comics, where Franklin Richards is one of the most powerful reality warpers Marvel has, and Doom has always had a strange, genuine bond with Reed's children. Doom doesn't want to hurt Franklin. He wants what Franklin can do. Now look at what Marvel is throwing at him. The announced Doomsday cast is around 27 actors. The new Avengers. The Fantastic Four. Thor. Loki. Wakanda. And for the first time in MCU history, the original X-Men film cast, Patrick Stewart's Professor X, Ian McKellen's Magneto, actors. Statement of scale. When the villain was Thanos, it took one ensemble. For Doom, Marvel is merging 3 franchises worth of heroes into a single film. The studio is telling you the threat level before a single trailer line is spoken. Here's the problem with fighting Doom, and it's the reason this video has its title. Every standard win condition fails. Outsmart him? He's Reed Richards' equal with none of the hesitation. Overpower him? He has personally drained the Silver Surfer, the Beyonder, and the Beyonders. Stealing the power of a god is not his trump card, it's his habit. Outmagic him? He fights Mephisto annually and wins. Kill him? Congratulations, that was a Doombot. There is exactly one force in the Marvel Universe with a winning record against Victor Von Doom, and it's Victor Von Doom's pride. Nothing else has ever been enough. So here's what the comics tell us to expect on December 18th. Doomsday won't open with Doom losing, because Doom stories don't work that way. He'll be ahead the entire film, and the Russos, who directed Infinity War, have already shown they'll happily end the movie with the villain winning. The real question Doomsday has to answer isn't whether the Avengers can punch through that armor. It's the question every great Doom story asks: what does he actually want? Because in the comics, the honest answer has never been destruction. It's been order. His order. One man with a metal mask, a dead mother, and a grudge against the smartest man alive versus every hero Marvel can fit on a poster. The comics say the heroes need a miracle, or they need his ego to do their job for them. So here's the question for the comments: which single MCU hero has the best shot at Victor Von Doom? Wrong answers welcome. Doctor Strange fans, defend yourselves. Subscribe to Hero Lore. The next breakdown is already in production, and December 18th is closer than it looks.